Good afternoon and welcome to our July Civil Designer Software Technical Webinar. Today we'll be covering Civil Designer's 3D animation and design verification functionality. The functionality covered today is all included in Civil Designer's CAD Pro module and not a third-party rendering software package. I will once again be joined by Andrew Cole today, who will be demonstrating the 3D animation and design verification functionality available in our current version 8.1. And then later by Davy de Toy, our Head of Development, who will be demonstrating the functionality available in the next version of Civil Designer, version 8.2, which will be released in October. At the conclusion of the webinar, please send an email to info@civildesigner.com should you wish to arrange a focused on-site or online interactive user group. This user group can be based on today's demonstrated functionality for your individual office or team. I'm now about to play this video, which is 3 alignments captured out of Civil Designer and compiled in a package called Camtasia to play simultaneously. I'm now going to hand over to Andrew, who is going to do a quick demonstration of how to create those alignments.
Okay, so we're looking today at the render view, and I'm just working with my well-bed overall layout over here. So I want to show you initially just with the design verification. If I go to my road strings, I'm switching on my contours at a 100mm interval just to verify that that road does run nicely with your normal plan view verification. So you can see if I look at it from a plan view, you can see those contours and the road ties in quite nicely with that intersecting road. And then also part of our verification, we've got those drainage visibility functions. So you can put on the drainage display here in the display settings under road strings. You got the drainage display button, and you got the flat slope tolerance if you want to pick up those flat spots, and then also your low points you can highlight with this pen and a specific symbol as well. So I'm just using the curve inlet, and okay. All right, and then you could also put on your contour levels and highlight at certain intervals. I've switched on the arrows as well just to verify the direction that the water would run off this particular road. Okay, so you can clearly see there those contours and the arrows and the curb inlet in the red rectangular shape. So very useful to verify your road and make sure your road is draining correctly. Okay. So can you guys still hear me? I'm going to go back. Just switch off the road contours and the arrows. Okay. So that was just the initial verification with the normal display settings. What I want to show you guys now as well, we've added these traffic road signs that you can insert. There's some new road symbol files that we've added to the software. You can see there's a warning sign, a 3D warning sign that I'll import, and then the prompt would be where you're going to insert it. I'm just going to do it roughly here just to show you quickly. Okay, so that'll be my stop warning sign. Okay, and then I also want to put in the stop sign. So if I go back to that traffic pull-down menu, add a road sign, select the road sign to import. This time I'm looking for my R1, the stop sign. Okay, so select it, click on the import button. The prompt is to indicate the position. Okay, and then the other important thing is which direction must the signboard face in. So there's a big arrow to indicate which direction. Okay, so I'm just putting those two in. You can add additional symbols as well. Any kind of 3D symbol you'd be able to put into your model. All right, so I'm just going into the render view just to verify and see if those 3D symbols are in the right position. And I'm just rotating with the render view and zooming in a little. You can see there's the stop sign and the warning sign just behind it. Okay, so very useful, nice for visualization, and you can use that in your fly-throughs as well. This toolbar in the render view, you can switch on some additional light or rotate the view. There is the plus and minus, the zoom in and out on the toolbar as well. And there's a level over there that you can level out the site as well. The cube at the top, navigation cube, you can also be using that just to move around. Just select your view direction, isometric, top. You can see it highlights whichever one you're going to go to. Okay, so that's essentially the navigation in the new render view. Okay, and then just dragging it around with your left mouse button. You can zoom in with the mouse wheel and then drag and rotate with the left mouse button. Just remember to keep your control key in when you're rotating. That level is actually quite useful, the little level that we've enabled. Okay, then looking at the fly through, we can add various fly through paths in the render view. Okay, and initially, if it's a road, you can just select the road alignment, the center line to add your path. There's a camera height and an offset that you can set. I'm just using river view for this example. You would be able to set your sight distance, how far ahead of you you'd like to see, and then your speed for your fly through. So just a realistic speed. And then I'm just going to run that. I'm not going to run it too far because of the refresh rate that with the webinar GoToMeeting that we're using. But generally, if you obviously set it for high speed, it's going to run pretty fast. Okay. Just something, if you want to do in the render settings, the right-click render settings, you can actually load a background image as well. I've got a sky light, at least the horizon image with some blue sky and some clouds just to have in the background, and I'll just run the fly through a little bit further. You can see that. So pretty neat with the image in the background. No, Charles quite likes the images in the background. Okay. There's quite a few paths that I experimented with here. So you can define any sort of path with a CAD line. This one is just a polyline that I've inserted running around to that warning sign, the stop sign, just to show you how those look in the render view in the fly through. And then this one, I've also added in a fly through or a fly through path going around the island. So that I've already drawn in with the polyline. I'm going to show you a little bit later how to define those lines, but essentially you can use any line and then just give it an elevation and position the camera angle relative to that. Okay, so the fly through in this case about 3 meters above, and it's relatively slow, just to show you how it would move around the island. That's just an add-on string added as onto my wellbed road using that add-on CAD entity. That's an add-on island. Okay, so just to show you the various paths that you can define and use for your fly-throughs, but the initial one, if it's for a road, you can use the road path. This one I've just thrown in as well to show you it's our normal tutor project, and it's a render view of the site, and then just to show you with the fly through that we can actually go underneath. So there's a negative height above path. So there I'll be running my fly through along the road alignment, but underneath the road surface. Okay, so pretty neat to pick up any clashes or just have a look at your services. That spacebar is there. If you hit spacebar, then you can pause your fly through. Okay, and then just going to show you quickly how you would define those paths. You can use any kind of polyline or line. In this case, I just want to draw a spline, so I'm drawing in a spline just to define a nice curved path. And with the 3D element to it, I'm gonna just convert it. Just let me skip both tangents there. Okay, and then I'm gonna convert that, or just first show you the elevation. If I select it, look at the properties, you can see there's no current Z value for that. So I want to drape it onto my surface. So just to do that, I'm going to run a explode under tools in CAD and then convert that line now. So those are just individual segments. I'm going to go convert it to a polyline. So I just select that line to polyline, select the first segment, and you can see it's a polyline. So it's kept the curvature. The reason I'm doing this is just to keep that curvature. And then we still need to assign an elevation. So to do that, I'm going to go to terrain and use that new terrain functionality, or the draping of a CAD entity. So we've been able to drape CAD entities on your terrain model, but I'm also using this road strings model in this case as well. Okay, so that would drape every little segment of that polyline onto the road and to the DTM. Okay, I find it's a little bit easier just to define these paths at the moment by just switching off everything, all the clutter. So I'm just going to do the path definition without the road and the DTM. So I'm right clicking, selecting my fly through, and I'm adding my path. Okay, so I'm just indicating on the entity. Okay, you can have a specific camera path name, so I'm putting new from spline just as a description. Okay, so there I've got my fly path defined. Okay, you can also have a different camera path if needed. So your camera would be positioned somewhere, but you're looking at a different point. Okay, I'm just switching on my surface, my DTM surface with the shading, and then my road as well. Okay, you can see the fly path draped onto the surfaces now. And if I right click, go to the render view, I'm going to run that fly through now. Just set my height above. I'm going to make it about 10 meters. And then sight distance about 60, and then my speed about 60. Okay, just to show you initially how that would follow that spline I've converted. Okay, there is an option to not show that CAD entity as part of the fly through. So there's a hide camera path option there in the settings. I'm just running it around. So it is actually running over the road there to show you that it follows that drape path along the DT and then over the road, the strings model. Okay. Maybe just to run it a little bit higher, I'm going to try it at 20 meters just to give a slightly higher view of that fly through. Okay, so it's up to you to adjust those settings, define your fly path, and then set the sight distance and elevation. Okay, all right, now I'm going back to the traffic, at least those new functions, the traffic functions, just to show you the road markings. I've created a CAD layer and just setting the pen. So we're going to do our center lines. I just want to show you this is also new functionality, adding road markings. You would indicate your parent shape, either a road line or a CAD polyline. You would then, so I'm just indicating the center line and checking all my settings, the length of the line, the width, and I'm going to make that 0.1, the gap between your lines, and then an offset in this case would be 0. So if I accept now, it should pop it in on that center line. And then it would just repeat, so I can do my wellbed road as well with those same settings, length, width, segment, gap. Okay. Okay, now I'm going to do the yellow line on the edges of the road. So I just select that road edge there. And then I would need to change my settings, specifically the gap. So we don't want a gap in our line. So I'm going to have to go into my settings over here. And I'm going to have to change the gap. So the width can still remain at 0.1, but the gap needs to be 0. And the offset, yeah, we want it about 600 away from that road edge. So I'm popping it in over there, and then I select the next parent, and it's the same gap. Just to check that offset, okay, yes. That one has gone on the road edge, it's gone to the other side. So if in that case, just to show that it can happen, you would just need to change your offset from that parent shape. I've undone that, and then it'll be a negative 0.6. Okay, so now it should pop it in on the right side. All right, and then I'm going to do the other edge, that bell mouth, and then into the next section of road, and then also across the road on the other side. We'll just do that as well. Okay, so those are some of the new traffic road signs and road markings functionality. There are some new ones that the guys have been working on as well. Okay, just to snip out this little section where it runs through into the next road there before you put in your stop. So hopefully in 8.2 we're going to have some additional nice road markings coming through as well. The guys are currently working on that with all our clients' input. I'm sure they'll be good. Okay. And then just those center lines, I'm just switching off the black center line that I had initially in the display settings here, just to tidy it up. Okay. So I think that's pretty much everything with this video. Okay. And I'm running the Google Earth export. This is just part of the verification process. So it's just a video with your normal Google export. Okay. So your normal Google export of your site or your road. We just create that KML file, which is then loaded into Google Earth to verify your position. Okay. So all part of that verification process. Okay, so you can just watch that video, and that's one of our existing videos on the website. Okay, I think that's pretty much me done. Let me just hand over to Charles again.
Thank you, Andrew. That was great. We'll now be handing over to our special guest, Darby the Toy, Head of Development, who will be giving us a short demonstration of the new 3D animation and design verification functionality, which will be available in the next version of Civil Designer.
Thank you, Charles. Good afternoon, everybody. Version 8.2 saw some major improvements in the AliCAD 3D graphics engine using state-of-the-art technologies. We could therefore add some new visualization tools to our render view. I will be showing you some of these functionality that will be released with the version 8.2 in October. These enhancements are some convenient graphical user interface controls for interacting with the render view, new environment settings for rendering the DTM, faster DTM rendering with natural simulation, more intuitive camera and fly-through controls for fly-throughs, and then loading and rendering 3MX mesh data. This is Table Mountain. You guys should be familiar with this. It comes with the program. It contains about 55,000 DTM points. So if we go to render view, in addition to, this is the normal plane shading that you guys will be familiar with. So we're shading the faces from the DTM model. Just square it up a little bit. And I'll show you some of the terrain settings. This is settings that control how the DTM is rendered. The additional option we have there is natural simulation. Here you can have a few preset settings like contour that'll just draw contours, and then the height map. You'll see the darker red is higher and the green is lower, and then the snow top option, which is the default setting, it gives you a little bit of a more realistic view. You can also play with the slope contrast. As you can see, it makes a difference as to how it appears. Then the environment settings over there, that controls the background, rendering the background. So we have a few preset options there. That is the dawn option, and then also the ground plane, which you can set. You can set it to a rough ocean, for example. There's a sunny option, and then I'll just show you a few presets: cloudy, sunset, and then night. See, it looks a lot more realistic. But I must say I prefer the sunny one. But in addition to that, you can also play with the colors. You can customize it, so you can switch on the sky box and then set the sky color. That's the color at which the sky will appear, and then the haze is between the horizon and the sky. You can set that color as well as the ground color. This all controls how light is reflected from your model, and then you can set the width of the haze and the sky and all that if you want to tweak the values. Otherwise, just use the preset values that Civil Designer is installed with. So we can zoom in a little bit. I'm just changing the view slightly. You can see how it renders. You can see the water is animated, so it changes all the time. Now at the bottom here there are a few slots, and if you click on one of them, it stores that view so that you can refer back to them just by right clicking and clicking on them. That's also preset views. This is quite handy, and it gets saved with the program, with the drawing. So I'm just going to go to the Valbedag job that Andrew's been working on earlier. Go to the render view. I'll be showing you some of the fly-through controls that we've added. This is also about 55,000 point DTM, and that road is about 4.5 kilometers. So right clicking, you can simply right click on any entity and go fly through, and there the fly through starts. And then you can interact with it by clicking there to go up and down, left or right, and then use your wheel mouse to speed up or slow down. I want to slow down here at this intersection. You can slow down to a complete stop, and then, as we did earlier, save that view. So we can come back to it now, speeding up again. And this is good for verification. I can see where there's problems with the triangulation, some artifacts in the gabions. So you can see our fly through is quite smooth with that natural simulation of the DTM as well. So on this bridge, I want to slow down and take another snapshot, or save it to a different view, to view number 8. All right, let's go. Let's carry on. Okay, at this point, I want to show you that you can actually go backwards, and then you can loose your camera from the flight path. And as I do now, I just swing it all around. Now I control the camera with my mouse. So the camera points where my cursor is. So if I go around this corner, you can see it's a bit jaggedy because I'm actually controlling the camera direction with my mouse. It's not tied to the flight path now, which is quite nice. I can look around, as I'll show you later on. Just want to get back to that intersection. And now I can view the road in reverse as well. You can see that I'm battling to make it go smooth because it's following my cursor. You see that the sky adds a lot to the visual appeal of this model. Looks a lot more realistic. Right, let's go around this corner. Okay, there's the intersection coming up. So I'm going to slow down, forward, sorry, forward. There we go. And I'm going to stop again and then turn around. So we're looking back at the intersection. Now at this point, I simply right click here and say fly through, and it'll fly through on the next road. So you don't have to go back, select, right click, fly through again, and select another road. You can simply, from where you were, just select another road and continue. I want to get on top of this hill because there's some nice views which I want to save in my saved views. So this is almost like taking photos along your road. So when you save it, it saves these views with the drawing. So you can very easily go back and look at them when you change your data. Remember, all this is live from the data. It's not done by a separate program. So if your data changes, these render images will change. Saving this to slot number 6, and okay, making it loose. So I'm changing the view, and let's take a picture of the gabions there. I can see I've got problems with the gabions over there, which I need to go and fix. Okay, so there I can go back to the different views, basically the photographs that I took. Or you have a little preview on the right click. I'm going to quit render view. Okay, just quit it. And now this is a new drawing. I'm going to go to render view and then add 3MX data. Now 3MX is context capture 3D multi-resolution mesh exchange data. This is this allows production of high resolution 3D models from single photographs or point clouds. and it's a mesh, a 3D mesh. We are currently working with a company called AAM Geometrics, who offers a wide range of spatial information technologies to make this type of data available to you. In Civil Designer, we will start by simply loading and rendering this data in the render view. We use a multi-threaded loading and rendering strategy with level of detail support. We will then develop this further in future so that you can also interact with this model, with the mesh model. Okay, I want to also show you another feature. I'm just going to get to a spot where you can show that. There, that circle. If I right click, I can just go circle around, and that will automatically do like a circular fly path pointing at the position where you pointed your cursor, which is quite neat. I'm just going to zoom into that excavation there to show you what type of detail you can get. Okay, I want to just open this Cape Flats project to show you how it all comes together. This project is a DTM of Cape Flats, and I also have mesh data associated with this project. Okay, so if I go to render view, okay, you can see there's my mesh data. This is quite a large area, and the accuracy of the survey is not as great as it was on the Cape Town CBD job. There, I'm circling around. So there's currently this traffic circle, and we want to upgrade this, for example. So if I quit the render view, I've designed some roads, like a little interchange, just to show you how it interacts with the roads module. I'm gonna use transparent shading so that you can see the overlay of the roads and the mesh data. So there's a little interchange I designed. I think it took me about 2 hours. If I go now to render view, you can see the roads design there, and it's transparent, so it overlays over the mesh. So again, I can right click on here and say fly along the road, render view. Yeah, fly through, and there you can see the road overlaid on the mesh data. Those humps, those are probably cars that was measured. So I want to slow down when I get to that interchange now. There we go. Let's slow down a bit. There. So there's my off ramp through the bridge. Now I want to turn around again. So let's go through it. There. And I can right click and say circle around, just to give you a little aerial view of the proposed design. 3D visualization in Civil Designer is totally integrated. It all happens inside Civil Designer, and it renders your live data. I hope that this new functionality we are releasing in 8.2 will go some way to make visualization in Civil Designer even easier to use and more powerful. Thank you.